The things that AI can do these days is pretty scary. It's getting more and more powerful by the week, but that got me thinking, how much ball knowledge does ChatGPT actually have? Let's test it out. So for today's video, I've asked ChatGPT to rank every championship club from smallest to biggest. I've asked it to take several factors into consideration, things like recent club success, history, global reach, stadium size, fan base size, attendances. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to drop a like. Without any further ado, let's jump in. So ranked as the smallest club in the championship by AI, we had Wrexham. Now Wrexham scored higher than anyone else in the championship when it came to their social media presence, unsurprisingly, and they've got a massive global reach because of their famous American owners. But in terms of recent history prior to that takeover, I think most would have Wrexham down there. Who knows though, if they continue like they have been in recent years over these next few years, they could really rise up that table in a few years' time. Ranked 23rd by AI, we've got Oxford United. They do have the smallest stadium in the championship, and that was pointed out by AI here. League Cup win back in the day, but a small stadium. It does feel like if Oxford can run themselves well though over these next few years in the championship, continue to keep their head above water, they could definitely establish themselves as a solid mid-table club who could be here for a while, but we'll wait and see how they get on next season first. Next up and ranked all the way down in 22nd place, we've got Bristol City. Large city club, but limited top flight history was the justification that ChatGPT gave for placing them so low down in this list. Now, Bristol City are one of a handful of championship sides who have never played in the Premier League as we know it today since the rebrand in the early 90s, and I think that was one of the reasons why so many people were excited for them, that they made it into the playoffs last season, and why a lot of neutrals were probably rooting them on. Another thing that does go against Bristol City in the whole club size debate is the fact that they've never won a major trophy before in their history. Ranked as the 21st biggest club in the championship, we've got Millwall. Fierce support and a cult following was how ChatGPT described them, and you'd say that's pretty accurate. Like Bristol City, they've also never played in the Premier League as we know it today, and they've also never won a major trophy either. All those factors will have been taken into consideration for this list. Ranked as the 20th biggest club in the championship by AI, it's Queen's Park Rangers, slightly bigger than Millwall and Bristol City according to ChatGPT. London base and past Premier League presence is one of their justifications. Obviously, QPR do also have a bit of silverware in their history as well. They won the League Cup back in the 60s. That's enough to just rank them above the likes of Millwall and Bristol City according to AI. Coming in 19th place, we've then got my club, Preston North End, a founding league member and early champions of England as well, and it is that sort of historical background that Preston North End are built upon. Recent success has been fairly limited, I can't lie about that. Another championship club who's never played in the Premier League as it's known today. We had a few close calls for getting in there in the sort of early 2000s, but were just never successful in the playoffs. In terms of Preston North End and club size though, something that does prop us up against some of those sides that are below us is our, rich history. Ranked 18th by AI, we've got Charlton Athletic, a Premier League era club, a historical London club as well, also an FA Cup winner in the past. Charlton, it does feel like, especially in all these years they've spent predominantly in League One recently, in their recent history, have felt like a bit of a sleeping giant really, with how big that stadium is, how big that fan base potentially is as well. We saw how many fans they had at Wembley there in the playoff final and things like that. In terms of historical size, Charlton definitely should be a solid established championship club. It's just they've not quite had the rub of the green in that recently, but now got their chance to establish themselves as a championship side once again. Now this one is a controversial shout by AI because they've got Derby County all the way down in 17th place. Up until this point, I thought AI was doing an alright job, but to have Derby all the way down in 17th does seem a little bit crazy to me. Twice English champions, large stadium, large fan base as well in terms of average gates they're attracting. Even when they were in League One, they didn't really experience much of a dip in terms of the loyal fan base that was going and turning up to that ground week in, week out. They're 2 times English champions, they've won the FA Cup as well, a club which is definitely steeped in history. What does go against them probably is recent history, certainly compared to some of the sides that AI has got above them. But if I was tinkering with this list, having Derby in 17th is the first sort of big red flag that I'd probably flag up. And it's especially controversial because they've then got Watford above Derby, the justification being they've been a regular Premier League side in recent history and also have a strong recent digital presence as well. Obviously, I told it to take into consideration quite a few factors. Now, in terms of recent history and success, Derby and Watford have definitely been above them. You know, they had a prolonged stint in the Premier League, and you are going back quite a few years the last time that Derby would have finished above Watford in the Football League pyramid. However, when we talk about history, Watford have never won a major trophy, although they've come close on a few occasions. In terms of infrastructure, average gates and things like that, Derby definitely have the edge as well, but AI is still giving the nod to Watford there, which, yeah, a bit controversial. Ranked as the 15th biggest club in the Championship, AI gave that title to Portsmouth, 2 times FA Cup winners, 2 times champions of England as well. The justification for Portsmouth being placed where they were by AI, FA Cup winners and having a loyal fan base. I mean, they definitely have that, don't they? Even when they dropped all the way down to League Two, that fan base was still turning out week in, week out. One of the best supported clubs, I'd say, in the Championship, certainly in terms of their away following. I thought they were the best fans to visit Deepdale last season. Pompey fans, would you say about 15th is fair for you in this ranking, or do you think you should be a bit higher up on the list? The 14th biggest club in the Championship, according to AI, is Hull City, with the justification being they've had recent Premier League experience and in recent history also made it to an FA Cup final as well. Has to be flagged up with Hull. They are one of the Championship clubs who's never won any major silverware during their entire club's history. How much should that factor into this sort of list though? I'll let you decide. To be fair, if we were strictly doing this ranking off of average league attendances, then Hull being around about there on this list would probably be about right, to be honest with you. But obviously we have to take into consideration quite a few other factors as well. As the 13th biggest club in the Championship, AI gave that title to Swansea City, with one of the justifications being the fact that they've got a Welsh fan base, but they do have a League Cup to their name, and in recent history as well. They won that back in 2013, didn't they? They've also had a recent and quite prolonged spell in the Premier League as well, which seriously boosted up their social media presence, their global reach, and because of that, they're definitely one of the more known clubs globally in the Championship. Ranked as the 12th biggest club in the Championship by AI, it's Blackburn Rovers, and certainly from a historical standpoint, it's hard to argue against Blackburn and just how big they are. Not many Championship sides can really chat to Blackburn in terms of their trophy cabinet. 3 times English champions, they've got 6 FA Cups to their name as well. Also the fact that one of those league titles, you know, in the Premier League is in recent history as well. Fan base isn't ginormous compared to some of the other clubs in the Championship, but globally, Blackburn are one of the more known clubs in the Championship, I'd argue, because of that history, because of that fairly recent stint in the Premier League as well. So all that worth taking into consideration. Birmingham are the 11th biggest club in the Championship, according to AI, with the justification being strong Midland support and also League Cup winners. Yeah, they've won the League Cup twice in their history, one fairly recently. Support for Birmingham is quite good as well, both home and away. I think that's especially been the case since this recent takeover. I think Birmingham are going to be travelling really well in the Championship next season, aren't they? The 10th biggest club in the Championship has been ranked as Stoke City, with the justification being they've had a recent 10-year stint in the Premier League. They've got passionate fans. They've got a League Cup to their name as well. Stoke have definitely been one of the biggest underachievers in the Championship in recent years, but that fan base has still stayed really consistent. Along with being 10th on this list, I believe Stoke ranked 10th for average league gates in the Championship last season as well, so AI might not be all too far off on the Potters. The 9th biggest club in the Championship has been ranked as Coventry City, with the justification being they've got a big stadium, they're FA Cup winners, and they've also enjoyed a recent rise as well. Yeah, that is understated when it comes to Coventry, but massive fan base. I think we've seen a real explosion of that in recent years. One of the sides that in recent times especially, you sort of just come to expect them to be battling it out in and amongst the promotion favourites at the start of the season, don't you? They've been decent for a cup run in recent times as well. Coventry fans, would you agree with that placement on this list? The 8th biggest club in the Championship has been voted as Norwich City, with the justification being they've been a Premier League yo-yo club in recent years and also have a strong identity as well. And you know what? I would back that up. Norwich have one of the most loyal and committed fan bases. You barely see any fluctuations season to season in their average league attendances, regardless of what league they're playing in, whether that's the Premier League, the Championship, League One. Norwich City fans, in terms of, season ticket holders and regulars, they're showing up year upon year, no matter what's going on at the club behind the scenes. They're also two-time winners of the League Cup as well. That adds to their case in this example. AI then ranked Middlesbrough as the 7th biggest club in the Championship, with the justification being they've got European pedigree and a large regional fan base. They have also won the League Cup in their history as well. Surprisingly, that's the only major trophy that Borough have ever won, which, yeah, is fairly surprising for a club as big as them. But massive fan base for the Championship, that European pedigree that it's talking about there. They did make it to the what's now known as the Europa League. They made it to the final of that competition in 2006. In recent memory as well, have had long stints in the Premier League, have also got one of the biggest stadiums and fan bases in the league as well, one of the best away supports to also go along with that as well. Sheffield Wednesday have been ranked as the 6th biggest club in the Championship, with the justification being they're a huge club historically. They've also got a big ground as well. They're 4 times English champions. They've won 3 FA Cups during their history as well. Now, strictly based on average league attendances from last season, Sheffield Wednesday were the 6th biggest club in the Championship. They had gates of just over 26,600 on average, which, yeah, was the 6th biggest in the Championship. Definitely got some of the best away fans in the league as well. Historically, they are massive. Where would Wednesday fans, where would you argue your case to be in this ranking? Because AI's got 5 teams above you. Ranked as the 5th biggest club in the Championship, AI's got that down as West Brom, with the justification being historic success and top flight years. I mean, yeah, historically, West Brom definitely are one of the richest clubs in the EFL. They've won the FA Cup on 5 occasions. They've been crowned English champions once. They've also got a League Cup to their name as well. Lots of silverware and a very loyal support as well. Similar to what we were saying about Norwich recently, there's not really been that many fluctuations in their average league attendances in recent years. It's always tended to be quite consistent with West Brom, which is the sign of a very loyal fan base. Ranked as the 4th biggest club in the Championship by AI, it's Ipswich Town, with the justification being European and domestic honours and also great support as well. Yeah, I don't think many people would argue against that great support fact. Now, the ace that Ipswich have up their sleeve compared to everyone else on this list is the fact that they do have that European pedigree, don't they? They won the UEFA Cup back in the 80s, and how much does that count for? Ipswich, let's compare them to West Brom, for example, haven't had as much domestic success historically as the Baggies, but European silverware counts for so much, doesn't it? Obviously, a recent stint in the Premier League will have also added to their global reach and social media presence as well, all worth factoring into this list. AI has then ranked Sheffield United as the 3rd biggest club in the Championship. Blades and Wednesday fans, you can argue this one down in the comments down below, but according to ChatGPT, Sheffield United are the bigger club. The justification for the Blades being there is they've got a big stadium, solid top flight history. They've also got a fair bit of silverware in their trophy cabinet as well, with 4 FA Cup wins in their history. They've been crowned English champions on 1 occasion as well. AI then reckons that Southampton are the 2nd biggest club currently in the Championship, with the justification being they're a talent factory and they've had long stints in the Premier League as well. Obviously, in more recent times, they have become a bit of a yo-yo club between the Premier League and Championship, but prior to that, they had, I think it was an 11-year straight stint in the top flight. Now, in terms of major honours, they've not won as many as some of the sides below them here. They've only got 1 FA Cup win to their name in their history, but global reach is quite high because they have been an established Premier League club in recent years. Social media presence is big, very consistent fan base in terms of those that do turn up to St Mary's week in, week out. And you know what? They got a good away support as well, at least I thought so the last time that they travelled to Deepdale when they were last in the Championship. But are they the 2nd biggest club in the Championship? I'll let you guys decide that in the comments. But the biggest club in the Championship, according to AI, is Leicester City, with the justification being their recent Premier League champions and they've got a global fan base because of that. Now, with Leicester, there will be quite a bit of recency bias at play here, but that's got to count for something. I mean, they won the Premier League in 2016. They won the FA Cup in 2021. It was only a few years ago that we were having conversations about Leicester City maybe being one of the new, big six in the Premier League because of their consecutive finishes there, their European pedigree that they've had recently. Because of all those factors, they do have a huge social media presence. They are one of the most recognisable clubs in the Championship. I've got absolutely no doubt about that. Go to Asia, for example, and I think that Leicester are more known than any of these other clubs. Ultimately, this video was just for a little bit of fun, but it's interesting that it has spat Leicester City out as the biggest club in the Championship. What do you guys reckon to that? I'll flash on screen now the full sort of justification for each club and why AI had them in each position, but I'd be interested to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you make of that 1 to 24 ranking? I feel like Derby especially have been really hard done by. I feel like they should be significantly higher up in this list. But other than that, most clubs are maybe there or thereabouts for where I'd have them, but maybe a few tweaks here and there. Other than that though, guys, that will go on to wrap it up for today's video, so do drop a like if you want to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe and stick around for some regular Championship content coming out on the channel over these next few weeks, and I'll see you all in the next one.